Yeah, I didn't get any notices from anybody. They weren't coming except for CET. Oh, and Patrick. He'll be here next month. Okay, I call to order the June 5th, 2025 Deschutes County Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. And we'll just start with introductions and start at the far end with Chris.
My name is Chris, with City of Bend Streets and Operations.
Wendy Holzman, BPAC member.
Bob Nash, BPAC member representative from Redmond.
Tanya Saltzman, Deschutes County Staff Liaison.
Chris Chang, ODOT.
David Green, BPAC member
And Vice Chair.
and vice chair.
Yeah.
He was trying to go under the radar on that one.
Jennifer Letts, BPAC Chair and Sisters Representative. And we'll go online. We can start with Henry.
Yeah, I'm Henry Stroud. I'm a planner with the Bend Park and Recreation District.
I'm Greg Bryant, Deschutes River Woods citizen.
Megan Winchell, BPAC member.
Kim Curley, BPAC member.
So you're not driving and participating.
No, I'm parked in Central Point. I'm looking for a place to go get a cup of tea. So I'll be here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, so how are we on
Got 6.
quorum?
So we have 13
7.
people.
All right. I will hold off on approving the minutes just in case somebody else steps in if we're not at quorum yet. So we will hopefully circle back to that if somebody walks in. So yeah, let's get into committee business. Safe Sidewalks Award update. I know Tanya and Megan have been working really hard on this to really appreciate. So I'd love to hear the update on that or where you're at.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks so much, Megan, for doing that legwork, getting in touch with people. I'm sure you had some excited conversations with people.
Yeah, people were really excited and
Cool.
surprised. So it was actually fun making the phone calls.
That's awesome. Did you get a sense of how many people are planning on coming, or did they not really know at the time?
They didn't really know at the time. There were, of the ones I called, because Lisa and I split the calls, there were 2 that for sure said they could not come during that time. But then there were other people that were very excited to be there. So, but no, I don't have a good sense.
Totally fine. Okay. They should be publishing the agenda today, so we'll find out what time it's at, but I'm not expecting you to reach out to them again to tell them because that's on them. But yeah, so we are scheduled to be in front of the board next Wednesday at their 9 o'clock meeting. They haven't yet posted the exact time, but I asked if they could try to do it first thing or as close to first thing as possible. So the way it's worked in the past is I'm there, I introduce myself as the staff liaison, and then I basically throw it to, is it going to be the 2 of you presenting and awarding, or one of you, or have you figured that out?
It's on my calendar, so I was planning on attending. Are you planning on attending as well?
I can be there.
Okay.
Because one of you is making the presentation,
Okay.
because it's not me.
I guess we could do, it could be one of us doing that, because then we're also going to do the annual report, or is that?
Yeah, it's both
Okay.
together, and it's up to you how you want to do it. I mean, sometimes, I think in the past, we've done the awards. We do the awards first just because there's so many people. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's totally up to you guys.
That would,
Just talk through the annual report, the highlights, however you see fit, and then do the awards. And there's a lot of like chaos
okay,
with like photos and stuff.
Okay.
It's fun, but so however you want to kind of orchestrate it.
okay. Yeah, maybe I do the awards and you can do the annual report since you had your hands on it, or vice versa, or I don't really care.
That's fine. You're a lot better with people.
People.
That would
Okay.
So I'll keep you guys posted on the time of day that it's going to be. We should know by the end of the day today. If anyone wants to come, very fun to come to the board meetings. Depends what else is on the agenda. I think Thornburg is, so you can stay for that.
Packed up.
Also, I will be printing out certificates, assuming I can get the printer to work. So I will need your signature on all of those and maybe we'll just convene like 5 minutes before and I'll just
Okay.
give you a pile. I couldn't get them together today, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'll just be in touch basically with you guys prior to that. So that's the plan. Yeah, thanks to Megan and Diane for calling everyone. I appreciate that.
Yeah, again, that's a huge lift. So thank you, Megan and Tanya and yeah, and what?
And
Oh,
Diane.
apparently Diane helped too, but she's not here today.
Oh, and
so-
Diane. That's right. Thank you, Diane, as well. Yeah, and again, please come. I think,
You can also watch online if
yeah,
you don't feel like coming.
yeah, I think it's nice
But
to
it's
kind of have the
nice.
critical mass sometimes,
Absolutely.
you know, and making sure that the commissioners know that who we are and, you know, we're here and what we're doing. So it's always good to put names to faces. Okay, great. Anything you want to say on the annual report? For the good of the matter, I mean, it's been submitted, so.
Yeah, we submitted at the last second. And Matt made one recommendation, so we took out the section about not having any letters of support, so.
Makes sense.
You did a great job pulling that together. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, got that done, and so I'll present that next Wednesday. I left the Tumalo underpass signage concern on here just as a little bit of a follow-up, because I couldn't remember. I felt like there was gonna be a little bit of follow-up on that, but also I remember there was that one issue of people like, well, it was even like a grand opening, or people don't even know it's there, and it's like, I felt like there was kind of a missed opportunity. You know, maybe exploring an idea of doing like a ribbon cutting or something. Yeah, because I've had conversations with people that, you know, I would feel would know it was there and they had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
So,
We could, while we're in front of the Board of County Commissioners, we could ask if they're interested in doing a ribbon cutting, because it's the first trail that the county,
Think so, yeah.
I mean, I heard that during the discussion of it, it's the first county trail,
Use path.
trail that the county's gonna be
Oh,
maintaining.
multi-use path.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I've heard it, but I don't know if it's true.
And Neil was maybe gonna check with the MPO, but he's not here today, so I don't know if that followed, if there was anything from that. But
Hey,
it'd be nice.
It's Kim. I just wanted to say, if we're gonna bring that on the commissioners, I think I would let them know in advance. That's gonna be a question that we're asking,
100%.
just to not catch them off guard.
Yeah,
mhm.
well, sometimes that's fun. But yeah, that could be, I had sent an email after our last meeting to, I think I copied Chris Chang and then Chris from the road department. Just kind of tossing them the conversation but I don't know if anything's happened since then.
Oh, Chris Doty, yeah.
Yeah, about the signage, not about an event, but.
Does anybody know what kind of flexibility they have about putting, I mean, I was interested that, I think it was Chris, you said that ODOT's very limited in the signing they can put up. Can the county put up more?
I mean, almost all of it's county, well, it will be county right of way.
Mhm.
So the county can follow their own standards and put up whatever signs they want.
Can the county afford ribbon?
I mean, that's I'm not an event
Yes.
planner. I don't know. That would be a whole nother thing.
Giants.
That was, yeah, I mean, Kim's suggestion to not kind of spring it on them would make sense. Having done that before, but maybe there's a way we can artfully
Yeah,
acknowledge it in some way.
It seems like getting Chris Doty involved in the conversation would be good too, because it's roads and that's kind of what he does for the county. So I don't know if there's
Are you
anything.
speaking about signage or an event?
For the signage.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Not the event. I mean, the event would
Yeah.
be great, but I think important,
Yeah.
really important to get signage up.
That's what my email was trying to get that conversation
Yeah.
started.
So, yeah. Hopefully maybe he'll follow up with you.
And I think there was, yeah, like you said, some involvement with the potential involvement with the MPO, even though that's like right outside the border or something. So that was a conversation that maybe the MPO is gonna have, because everybody had the seat at the table there. That's how I.
Right, at the TAC.
One idea out there I'd love to see, I don't know if it'll work within an event or any framework, putting art on it as well, or having that as part, that could be a kickoff event type thing. If we were to create a structure around it, ODOT has some draconian guidance around art on our structures, but it is a possibility that have to be sort of larger conversation with the community, what that looks like, how to piece that together.
Like a mural on the inside of it, you're thinking,
Or on the outside, on both sides, with the
Okay,
wing
wow.
walls and structures, you could do
Yeah.
inside as well, like at the old mill, they have some inside ones.
Yeah.
So that'd be a conversation, if anybody was interested in pursuing that. Or if we wanted, that could be the reason for a ribbon cutting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea to kind of tie that in.
Yeah, I'm
Because-
glad to work with navigating the ODOT bureaucracy of it, but.
because that would be ODOT, that wouldn't be like a county.
Correct, because it's a
'Cause it's the actual
structural,
structure.
Yeah, because the county does have an art committee, I think.
yeah.
Do we?
It'd Be probably. a
I mean, they do
partnership.
stuff
But-
roundabout, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
It'd be
road
partner-
department thing.
Partnership with them, because we don't have an art department or anything.
Right, yeah.
Do either.
So we. Spend.
For money.
Hey, if it's a good idea, I'm happy to spend some time kind of reaching out to people and seeing what they think. So if I'll look in the notes and I can contact Chris and other people on behalf of BPAC.
Okay. And I can certainly, I could also send a message to the Board of County Commissioners too. Yeah, it sounds like our idea is evolving, so I don't, yeah, I don't know how much. Right.
Well, it's good,
We
though.
could-
We need it, so it's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, if anything, we could really just couch it as kind of a preliminary thought on. You know, that it's just yeah, in the early stages, maybe just, yeah, pose it as something that could be a really positive event, depending on how involved and how big they want it to be.
You want to ask Neil to bring it up to the Traffic Safety Action Plan Safety Committee?
Yeah, we could. I don't know how often they're meeting.
No, I don't know either.
Is that the one through COACT?
No, that's, it's
the
a
county
Oh, okay.
more county one.
action plan.
Yeah, yes, yeah, it's easy. My brain is already like event planning and, you know, but then I'm hearing the dollar signs and the emails and everything is kind of like back down. But I think that there's a lot of value in an event like that. I think it's something to celebrate, right? I mean, it's, you know, tunnel is a big deal in this area. I mean, we love our lava tubes, but we're not really big about tunneling for bikes or cars or anything, so,
Wildlife.
yeah.
Brought that idea up once in a project. If there was a tunnel, didn't fly. Could we just make this tunnel bigger? Nope.
Okay, yeah, anything else on that from anyone? Okay. I put this Deschutes County,
There it is. The
transportation,
Yeah.
transportation safety action plan. I put it in the email that I sent out to everybody. I think that closes very soon. Can't remember. I thought it was this week. It was a very short survey, like 2 questions, I think, and there was kind of like so I don't know if anybody did it. So I would.
I sent in 2 comments.
Yeah, yeah, it was almost too broad.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
Yeah.
quite sure whether like, what do you want to know about it? How much time do you have? But yeah, you can make it as brief as you want. So I just kind of want to put a plug in there for that.
I don't think that one flew by the radar. I don't think I responded, so I'll have to go back and find the email.
Yeah, it's the email that had the agenda in it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would just recommend people do that. Again, I'm hoping that, I don't know how, I mean, I know we have a member on there, Neil, so that's great. Again, it's been another one of those situations where it felt like, we're kind of getting forgotten a little bit, I think, because it's county transportation and I don't think we're getting maybe as utilized as we could be, but but Neil's on there, and so I feel comfortable that if he feels like there's an opportunity for great participation, he'll bring that up. Okay. And then I also put on here, presenter topic ideas for future meetings. This was brought up a couple times, I think, over the last few meetings. Yeah, we haven't really talked too much about it, but we've had presentations before, especially when we do the road show, right? We do a city-specific presentation. However, we certainly have the opportunity to do that here when we're just at good old ODOT. So I thought if anybody had any ideas or desires or connections of people that might that we could invite, to do like a 20-minute presentation or something we want to know about, or this would just be a good time to kind of congeal, some ideas. And
It's interesting, we meet at Bend 9 months of the year, and we don't have an in-depth description of what they're doing. I mean, Chris is here every month, but we don't ever allocate, most of the meeting to talk about Bend transportation issues.
And planning and what they're doing. I've been saying this for not a couple of months now. It'd be great to get that. I don't know who Phyllis Lewis used to come sometimes. I don't know if she's even working for the city.
She's resigned.
She's retired.
Yeah,
That's why I started coming.
yeah, okay. Well, it'd be nice to get a plan. No, I mean, we love you too, but it'd be nice to get a planner just so we can what are upcoming things? What are they looking at? What can we help give you some input on?
Yeah, how are they dovetailing into county roads and county resources too?
Hey.
Yeah, that's really great.
It's Kim. I just got on BPAC, so I don't know if we have that covered already, but I'll know some gossip after I start going to those meetings. So,
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, are there between the two of you, any planners that you work with or might be good, or maybe Henry even knows, since you do so much trail work, anybody at the city that might be a good person to come present about bike ped stuff?
Janet Ruby. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was gonna defer to the city, but yeah, someone like Janet Ruby or Brad that's in the transportation demand or they're kind of more bike and ped engineering side would be a great person, I think.
The problem is those people are just swamped. I mean, they get to work at like 7 o'clock in the morning and they got meetings clear till 6:30 at night. And that's pretty much why I'm here. So I can see if I can get more information on some of the projects that we have going on. So, I mean, I can let you know kind of the projects that we have that just got approved and stuff like that. So. As
The
far as a
bond-
planner,
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the TBOC, I've been kind of sitting in on those meetings as just an agency rep, and they've been working really hard on, pushing out information about their projects, and they have a really nice dashboard and website. I think that's mostly been run by Garrett Saborin, and maybe they could come do quarterly, or not quarterly, maybe once or twice a year, come give an update on the bond oversight stuff. But again, I know they're very swamped, and I don't want to speak for them in any way. But
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can do, Chris, would be appreciated. I mean, I understand that they're swamped, and so it's like, however, we are such a, an ally more or less, it would probably be worth their time, I feel. And if it's not them, then it's their supervisor or their supervisor, or.
I mean, it's all the way from the top, all the way from the bottom. I mean, we're scrambling right now from city council because they have city council goals that they're trying to meet. And the
Get a counselor.
end is like June 30th, so.
Yeah.
You know, we got $900 million. We have to figure out how to spend it, how to do it efficiently, how to do it accurately. All by rules and regulations, everything's changing, so yeah, I mean, it's. I'll ask Janet to see if she knows a planner downtown that would be willing to come, or if she can carve out some time or something.
And it wouldn't be every month, and we
Oh, yeah.
understand they're in the middle of their big crunch time now. I mean, obviously, that's not the time that we're asking anyone to be here, but just, it'd be nice once or twice a year, maybe, just to even kind of get an update.
Yeah, and then trying to get engineers to, kind of get out in the open where there's actual sunlight. It's kind of like they're outside their environment of their cubicle and
They actually have to talk to people.
they get afraid.
The invitation to either the mayor and or the city manager, and let them decide, who's the best person, to come talk to us.
Yeah, I'll echo Kim Curley's comment there, that maybe that's something for the TBOC and soon to be revised TBOC into a general transportation committee for the city, so that might be a good delegated.
Yeah.
With Kim Curley already on there and here, that might be a sort of good liaison.
Yeah.
Taking off my ODOT hat, will also be on that with Kim Curley, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is
it would-
Neil on that as well?
I don't know, I was just appointed yesterday.
I know.
Congratulations.
Something, but I think for a while he was attending TBOC meetings, but I don't know if it was an official or not, but anyway.
He has not been a member unless he got appointed yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Is T-Bot going to become a general? transportation?
Yeah.
Like, they decided.
July,
Okay.
I bring it up that they didn't do it.
I mean, just to let you guys know too, I mean, stuff is moving so fast right now. We're barely getting input in our department. We're barely getting our input in.
Yeah.
The Franklin project that's going for bike and peds, it just reached 100% and it's been going less than 3 months, which is like record time.
100%.
Yeah, we're
Design.
Yeah,
yeah, well,
I'll have to reach out to Todd.
I thought Greenwood was at 15% last time I looked at it, and then there was a striping truck showing up.
Yeah. Last I checked on Franklin, we were at 30% waiting on 60.
No, they went to 100%. So,
How that bridge work on the Parkway goes.
oh,
Agreement or.
yeah, as far as the bike ped part of it on our street, that's
Okay.
where it's at 100%.
Okay.
Now, your part,
Yeah. There we go.
your part might be at 5.
There we go.
So, but I mean, it's moving so fast right now, but I can try to bring some of that stuff in for you guys too.
Okay, yeah, I think that, I think all that information would be really great to hear, and great to hear it from you, or great to hear it from, Kim. However, it'd still be really great to have somebody from the city, because they, it's like,
Yeah, because
to know that we're here as well,
she'll see aspects that I don't.
Yeah.
And I deal with like the boots on the ground, the materials, the day-to-day operations, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So is it okay? Can I rewind this conversation
Yeah.
a bit? What sort of information are you looking for from agencies as well,
would-
right? I know you've got a whole committee on sort of how do we get more engagement or outreach from
Yeah.
ODOT, city, county, that sort of thing. What is helpful to bring forward, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with listing out what we're doing, but do we
Mhm.
want more? What's the ultimate goal here?
Yeah. Oh, say something. No, yeah, that's definitely a great way to look at it. And I think there's a little catch 22, because sometimes we just don't even, some areas and some places, Bend is still, because we don't have that really strong relationship with Bend on this committee, it's still It's like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what to ask,
Just like Chris said, we have a really good dashboard for community input. For a lot of these projects, like the Franklin project, we had 4 different design plan options that went out to the public for their input. And once that was decided upon, then they got into the weeds with, different layers of asphalt and setbacks and all that stuff. So those dashboards are out there. It's just getting to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, is there anybody that has, anything that they're, looking to learn or know about or feel like we could benefit from?
You look like you're formulating a response.
So, I mean, I'm really deeply involved in a lot of these projects through Ben Bikes, so, I'm coming at it probably from a different perspective than BPAC would be. But, I mean, I thought that, both the Sisters and the Redmond presentations were really informative to sort of let us know what the community is doing and sort of the direction the community is going in. What it doesn't do is help us understand what we can do to help them or to provide input in any way. And I think that would probably be true of anything we hear from Bend as well, unless they have a specific ask.
Right, and that's what I have a hard time with, right? I don't mind listing or telling things, but it gets wonky too with having a specific ask besides just your general input because it's a government to government type of thing as a body. So hence why it's helpful to figure out if you just want a listing, that's always easy to do before out. But if we want to go more in depth, then we need sort of prep and figuring that out, right? Like,
I think bigger picture, I think it might be really interesting to have either somebody from Visit Bend or Visit Central Oregon speak to what the impact of bike ped and has on tourism and maybe get that perspective. Hopefully they might have something to say about what outsiders think of bike ped in this area and what's attracting people and how to maybe I think with that information and data, that might be really helpful for us and kind of focusing our efforts in certain directions, possibly. It might take us in a different direction, or it might just double down on stuff that we're already focusing on or supporting. So that's kind of popped in my head with this conversation too.
And if there's a project that's already underway, probably there's been enough stuff about, but like kind of what's upcoming, like what areas are you looking at? Where does the city see that improvements need to be made and just sort of like what wheels are starting to turn towards that? I remember Phyllis Blue was talking quite a bit about some upcoming projects, but that was like when the neighborhood greenways were going to be put in, because that was like going back a number of years ago. But just kind of that idea of like what kind of new things are sort of going to be coming up.
So the city council just finished their city council goals for 2 years. And 2 things are really important in there. One is that they are planning to build a bike and pedestrian master plan before the transportation system plan is reopened in a couple of years. So that's one thing. And the other thing that they're going to do is revise their street standards with the goal of 0 fatalities in the whatever future we're talking about. And they're very interested in traffic speeds and multimodal transportation and transit sorts of issues with their street standards. So I think, so there's a lot of things that they could talk about. I don't know whether they're ready to talk about them.
Right. And it's a little bit harder. Obviously, Bend's a much bigger city
Yeah.
than when we go to Sisters, we kind of easier to get a grip of what, where, and you know, what's happening. Bend's obviously much larger and more difficult, but,
Well, no, that could be if there's a counselor willing and savvy enough to speak to that, it might be
Mhm.
interesting because this is where we could be most effective is in the beginning
yeah,
of a project.
Right.
Or an initiative, so. Or maybe maybe that's when we get our write letters of support again, get that back on our annual report.
yeah. So if someone from where you are could maybe recommend, maybe even just a city councilor that maybe we could have, reach out to or something just to kind of get a little bit more of that overhead picture.
Okay.
I mean, I could reach out to the mayor as well.
Probably not.
And.
Yeah, that would, that'd be best, because
Okay.
I know that the city council is like really pushing, like Chris said, for
Yeah.
bike and peds and it's part of their goals right now. And I know that they're doing budget approvals right now. And once that's approved, it'll really show they're behind it or not. So
Yeah. Well, that's a great idea. Mayor to mayor. You can
Yeah.
reach out to
Yeah.
Mayor Keebler.
Yeah, he's a little busier than I am, but I don't think too much. Okay, perfect.
Only
Any-
be so busy.
Yeah, I know, there's only 24 hours in a day.
yeah, God.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well,
Anyone else have any ideas or?
Well, hearing from Chris Doty,
Hmm,
I mean, we're the county BPAC and we have very little
yeah,
relationship with him except during the
oh, the
transportation
TSP.
system plan.
I'm really surprised you don't meet at their facility.
Do they have a facility?
They have meeting rooms just like this.
Out there on 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we met with them a number of times.
yeah, I think that's,
It has to have the setup though.
that's good, because yeah, I mean, I think
It does.
we've been caught surprised a little bit by
Their
it.
classes up there.
And if
Recently, so we should have been involved in like the Sun River roundabouts and.
And the new big 10 rezoning out between Terrebonne and Redmond for 710 acres and 71 homes.
I mean, that's been going for like 4 years.
Yeah, but they'll have to design the streets.
Right, that hasn't, they were just doing the rezoning. The application hasn't.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not ripe yet for someone like BPAC to be involved.
But when we talked to him about new streets and new roads during the transportation system plan, he said, well, we're not doing any more subdivisions in the county. And so we don't need to talk to you about that. So that might be worth.
Still other roads.
And Kim just threw up on the screen, maybe we could ask them to host us one time, do a meeting out at the facility on 27. And then Anthony posted that he's having nap time woes and has been able to be in and out a little bit. So just to see the things that are being put in the chat, I happen to notice.
Thank
And Neil's here, so we probably have a
Okay.
quorum.
Oh, Neil's
Okay.
here, okay.
Okay. Any other ideas? I think these are great. I mean, we don't need like one every meeting or anything like that, but I think, having, 3 or 4 sprinkled throughout a year would be fun, because it, again, like I said, it goes 2 ways. We need to be learning what's happening, but people need to
Mhm.
also be learning about us and what we can and can't do, but.
And the county roads that are outside of cities, that's a good point too, to throw in that one.
Great. Well, thank you for that. There's a word in my head, but it went away, so let's move on. So we have now a quorum, I think, because Neil's here. Anthony may or may not be. I think Neil is enough, right? If Anthony's distracted. Oh, great,
Oh.
thank you. The only issue
Sure.
we had, we needed a quorum, was we just needed approval of the minutes from April and May. So if I could get a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hey, Kim Curley, thumbs up. All right, excellent. Phew, all right, got that done. Woo. Don't leave. All right, so we have working group updates, which I know some of these have, I think these are gonna go pretty fast, so.
Yeah.
Outreach, yeah, I have not talked to Matt about anything specific. I always put Tanya in there just because you're kind of our gateway to our website or our portal, anything, so.
Yeah.
Is there any news on the county was hopefully maybe gonna get a new platform or?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Oh.
The county's gonna be, the county is in a difficult place right now to
Okay,
spend any money or have
Okay.
people working for us.
all right,
Sorry.
okay, well, but that's news.
Yes.
Bad news is also news.
True.
Okay.
Also, Matt has a new job. Did we all get that email?
No,
I mean, it's official because he sent it out to, so I'm not telling any secrets, but I don't know if it's happened yet, but he's transitioning from Envision Bend to the High Desert Museum to the award, there's a position that has to do with awards.
Mm.
And he's changing jobs.
Oh.
Or maybe has changed this week. I'm not quite sure the timing,
okay.
but yeah,
Is this Matt, you said?
not much now.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I assume that the email was sent to everybody at BPAC, but perhaps not.
I might see that. Maybe that's why he's not here, so good for Matt. Community connections. Also, I put a bullet point down in here on check in on working groups. Do we need to update this list? So, with people's updates, we can also say if this is something that we need to keep addressing or more for take off the list.
Yeah, well, the community connections group, we sort of reviewed that list and we just need to get those community connections on the agenda, on the schedule for meetings. So that's kind of what we were talking about.
Okay,
A few minutes ago.
great. Really big arrow in my,
Hey, this is Kim. What is community connections?
Yeah.
I'm lost.
good question.
So last year we had 4 or 5 working groups to sort of think again about the direction BPAC is going in. And one of them was to re-energize our connections with the communities and other transportation agencies in the area. And so we had a reasonably complete list of them, and we wanted to try to schedule some more in-depth periodic meetings with each of them, sort of like we do with Sisters in Lapine and Redmond.
And I take it that did not occur.
Everything except scheduling them occurred. So.
And was that going to be like individual members go to those meetings or the whole group, or how was that supposed to work?
Well, as a group, we decide when we want to meet with each of them. So we just need to start doing that.
I like to book appointments, so I could raise my hand to get involved in that if that's still the goal of the group. Being new, you would have to let me know.
Okay. Yeah, no, like I said, there's a question mark behind, by all these in theory of, yeah, is this something we want to keep going with or morph into something else or?
I'll send you the document, Chris or Kim.
All right, transits from your
We
end.
we have not done anything specific with transit.
Okay.
And I still feel there's I mean, Derek is often here. CET is making a lot of changes this summer. It might be good to have a sort of an in-depth look at that sometime soon.
All right, I'll add that list to speakers, because I know he does. Derek makes it when he can, and he can't make it this week, but yeah, it would be nice if either him or Bob kind of did Bob Tamsin did, maybe a little bit more in-depth update on what's happening in their worlds.
Yeah, maybe try to invite them to a meeting and see if we can set up a time to do that.
Yeah, okay, I'll have to list. Okay, agency project input, like ODOT crossings. You could save that for ODOT update.
Yeah,
I think that was more of like, well, I don't know. See, again, is this something that can just come off? Because it's,
It's kind of baked into everything
yeah,
else.
yeah, okay, I'm just gonna take that off because it's not really a specific working group or deliverable. Okay, and the Ching Ring Awards.
Is that done now? Did we decide on?
Neil and Anthony have been, Neil and
Mark and Anthony.
Yeah, we're still editing some stuff. I think I've got to make it have less creepy feet, if I remember right. for the last note. So, yeah, I'll add that. I will have that. I will have that ASAP. We are absolutely slammed over here, but I'll get on that. But I'll have it next week for y'all to look at again.
What was the idea for the revised name again? I know I have it in my notes.
I don't remember right now.
I don't remember either.
Okay.
Mark had that list.
All right.
Hero something, I think hero was in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep putting that in parentheses until we get that finalized. And I think we settled on doing that in the fall again. And then also when we do thinking out loud here, do the press release for that in the fall, there would also be kind of that reminder of, hey, shovel your sidewalks and
Yeah.
here's the rewards. Here's
Like,
the
if you're
awards.
good, we'll get you an award.
Yeah, I know. We'll go
Another
these
piece of
people.
paper for you.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. We got a little bit of time. Okay. Yeah, any other input on these kind of working group updates? Do we need new working groups? Get rid of them?
I think that might be a discussion for another time because we're running a little bit, maybe we need to make that an agenda item for an upcoming meeting to think about where we want to go with these groups now.
Okay.
Unless somehow we can finish the rest of the meeting in 9 or 10 minutes so that Tanya can be out of here and.
Meeting at 1:30.
1:30.
Oh, 1:30. I'm sorry. I was getting mixed up.
Yeah.
Good, we've got time.
Me.
Stop rushing me. But we can also punt it too. I mean, if
Well, we want to talk about it now, that's fine. I was for some reason thinking that we had more of a time crunch, but no, we don't. Yeah, so which groups do we think are still important? I think we have an overall idea that we want to move forward with getting some presenters that are part of tied in with some of this a little bit. To find out a little bit more what's kind of happening in different agencies, which is kind of what a lot of these updates, I kind of feel like were intended to do.
yeah, so I mean, that could fall under community connections or outreach. So maybe just kind of having some point people to kind of organize those. Maybe.
Well, why don't we put on the agenda for next month? What is that, July 1st though? Is that a bad?
We put it to the following week because of July 4th,
Yeah.
beating the second.
Why don't we take that community connections list and use it to develop a proposed schedule for the coming year?
Great idea.
And then we can start to contact people and make sure that they're available the month we want them to be available.
Sorry, did we say we pushed the BPAC meeting?
We did.
Yeah,
the second
when we looked at
Thursday.
it because of the holiday.
We
As we were
scheduled the
traveling,
room.
yeah, oh, sorry,
Oh,
thanks.
no worries.
Yeah.
Missed it.
It's, whatever that second Thursday is.
The 10th, July 10th. Okay. Put that on the next agenda. Yeah, and then we'll know more. I mean, I can reach out to a few people and yeah, obviously if any, you know, Chris might be asking around or if anybody has anything come up organically, that'd be great.
Yeah, they'll just talk to Melanie Keebler if you get a chance and.
Okay, external committee reports. Dave Roth's not here, but we haven't had a COAC meeting since our last meeting. So, because I'm also on that for City of Sisters. MPO, Neil, had there been a meeting?
Yes, we had a meeting earlier this week. And I think the most relevant to this group was just talking through the scoring of, David, you might have to help me remember the name of the funds, but you remember what the state highway fund dollars, it's a couple $100,000 that they've used to allocate for safe routes to school and other bike ped projects. And so we looked at the scoring matrix again, and it's looking like a strong opportunity to have, you know, consistent funding here for projects. That was the main piece. Do you want to add anything, David?
I thought that the group really emphasized active transportation in the tweaks we did to the scoring. That was good.
Yeah, and there also was some presentation from ODOT planner and economist on congestion and reliability for the road network that's managed by ODOT in the region. But I think that's all that's relevant to this group at this time.
Hey, Neil, for those MPO grant funds, was there any clarification whether those are state or federal funds? I know when I was previously on the TAC, there was some discussion those were going to be transferred all to federal funds.
They were referenced as state funds, and that did come up as a conversation because there was an equity scoring component, and there was a question of whether language needed to be massaged to not anger the federal overlords. But it was reiterated. I don't remember who that was. It was somebody online that these were state funds.
Ken Trump.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and while we have you, Neil, since you missed the beginning, what was the question we had for Neil?
Oh, they talked about the signage for the bike path that goes under the roundabout at Tumalo.
We kind of just addressed the Tumalo underpass situation again. And I remember you were gonna kind of look into the MPO, because it seemed like that was just barely outside the MPO, but you know, signage maybe leading up to it on county roads, or you know, if you learned anything or got to ask that question.
I didn't bring it up. Let me look. I think at the last meeting I'd sent an email, but I don't remember hearing back from anything, but I can take a look and I'll chime in if I find anything.
Okay, and then we'd also talked about a little bit, just so you know, if you had any strong opinions at the moment about, you know, we kind of like the idea of bringing attention to the underpass project, because, you know, somebody said, hey, there's never been a ribbon cutting or an official opening, and that kind of evolved into a you know, basically a parade and a circus, I think at this point, but why not? You know, maybe starting a conversation with ODOT about maybe doing some murals at the tunnel or something like that. Anyway, just wanted to kind of catch you up on that. So if you do have any interactions with the MPO or TAC, or think if there's any opportunities there.
Yeah.
But again, the tunnel itself is just outside the official MPO. Is that my understanding?
So,
That was what we had decided. It is weird though, because it's all connected and part of the same planning process. So I feel like there's enough connectivity that I don't know. Well,
Okay.
I'll see. But I'll see if I got an update to that email and I'll send a follow-up if not.
Because if we wanted to go down the road, no pun intended, of doing a ribbon cutting or just some sort of event or something, I know that the county would not have money to do that. You know, is that something the MPO might be able to have a little bit of money? I don't imagine this is a big financial ask, but there's always something, right? There's always something that involves planning or people's time or a couple dollars or cupcakes, I don't know, ribbon, giant scissors.
scissors, novelty scissors.
You know how expensive those giant scissors are.
I know.
Just wanted a pair.
Yeah, so just kind of looking for opportunities, if the MPO if that's something they can lean in on, or MPO sees that as a benefit to work they do of highlighting that part of the project. That would be really great to have them kind of in that conversation.
Yeah, just let this is Greg Bryant. Tyler Deek's got some discretionary capability of spending money like that, so he could probably do that if you just contact him.
Okay. Yeah, he did help out, MPO did help us out with some of the funding in the summit as well, so. Okay, Neil, you are next up, because you had just joined the Ben Lapine School District, kind of safety committee as well. Have you had any meetings with them or anything to report out on?
Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings. They've been largely trying to kind of get feedback from stakeholders on building out a student transportation plan, and some of the kind of trying to map multiple pieces and multiple agencies all together at the same time. So it's been nothing like major to report, except it's a really engaged group with folks from different parts of the district and different stakeholders that are there, trying to look at this broadly and have that role that Michelle has within the school district. So that has been positive. And if and when there are, I think, things are still early, so there's not a lot to report or a lot of examples or pilots or things like that. Except this week is they're doing a specific like end of school year, but really kind of more of a pilot of trying to concentrate on Lapine schools. So they're doing something in Lapine this week of trying to, because they're doing something specific in Lapine this week for
Okay.
walking to school. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mark is not here. So I don't know if you have anything to report out about any of the event, Lava Butte or Lava Beach, the Pine Trails, any movement?
And the Lava Butte, no, we do have the
litigation.
additional flat money to add in, but that's sort of tied up in anticipated legal challenges, so waiting on that.
Okay.
Did I see something about this person might continue with a further lawsuit against the action, maybe?
What I've heard, so.
Great, you
Yeah.
must have big bucks just to keep suing and suing, huh?
So-
There's,
A landowner?
Yes.
that is near the project,
It doesn't want it running through his backyard.
near. Jason. All right, thank you. Diane is not here. Okay, she is on the COIC Crash Safety Messaging Committee for us. Yeah, and then Neil, has there been any TSEP meetings?
Yeah.
You're a busy guy.
I guess so. There was our first TSEP meeting at the county office a couple weeks ago, and they are updating the TSAP, but only doing so for Deschutes County outside of city limit boundaries. And so the previous TSAP included like Lapine and Sisters and others in that. And this is particularly just county roads, county and state roads outside of cities. And part of that was some of the inner city areas had other planning processes going on. And also the types of safety infrastructure and programming are, the conflicts are different on the different types of roads. And so that was some of their things, and it's largely funding derived as well. So that process is open. It's Deschutes County, which is very much in the BPAC realm. And there's opportunity to provide comment and feedback. So we can share that around to this group, or I don't know how you all want to engage besides just me being there and
Are you, because there's the survey,
Yep.
right, which I put in our email this month.
Okay.
But that, do you remember when that closes? Because I thought it was pretty soon.
Yeah, maybe even was last Friday.
It was June something.
Oh,
but
it
I
was
can't-
June. Okay.
Yeah, it may have been like yesterday or tomorrow or something.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have it up.
I'm trying to look it up right now, but
Yeah, Dave is as well.
there's two virtual open houses. One was spring and then another one will happen in the summer.
Through June 9th.
June 9th. Okay.
Okay, everybody get on there before June 9th. Again, it's really short. Take 5 minutes or less, unless you have a lot of things to say. Just then go for it.
Neil, in the past, when these transportation system plans have been, worked on, is there any specific, other than it has to be on county, but is there anything specific they're looking at? I mean, is it getting speeds down? Is it like, you have any idea what the action plans might be to make the roads safer?
Yeah, there were a number of different, I wish I had have the paper somewhere, but they were looking at a number of different strategies. So both, it was interesting, they talk a lot about the characterization of the different types of fatal and serious injury crashes, the different types of types of locations that those are happening at. So leaving the roadway classification is happening on less of an intersection challenge and more of an open stretch of highway challenge or open stretch of road. So they did talk about some of those are infrastructure related and putting things in standard practices around rumble strips and road design. And then they also talked about behavior and campaign around distracted driving and driving under the influence and those types of things. So there was a kind of a number of different categories of types and then potential solutions. I'm still not fully sure, and I had what does a really successful transportation safety action plan look like, and how does it actually shift the needle or versus just being a paperwork exercise.
Yeah.
And I had asked
I've
for
sat
some
on a couple of
examples
those before too, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
what's the.
Right. And so I had asked for some of those. I don't examples. I don't think I got any, because Kittleson is doing a lot of the consulting for this process.
Yeah, they've done it, the one that I was involved with a number of years ago,
Right.
that Dave Thompson and I went to. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, the idea of I don't think any county roads I'm aware of have the rumble strips, so if you're about to leave the road, that seems pretty effective on the highways anyway. I think you really notice if you're going across the center line or you're starting to go off. Is that something the county would have the wherewithal to do that they're talking about, or is it just kind of one of those aspirational, maybe we could do that?
I
Yeah, but not-
don't remember. It seemed like that was something that they were kind of actively including in the conversation, or they brought it up. So I'm assuming that it's something
Okay.
that they're doing or starting to do. But I don't know.
Chris, you had something
I believe they're on Knott Road.
on Knott Road?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
I believe. Don't quote me on it.
okay. Well, that seems like I think that's a very effective and not too expensive thing to do. It seems to me. If you're a distracted driver and you're going, oh, the rumble thing, all of a sudden you're like, oh, shit, I better.
Unless you're really drunk.
Yeah, well, okay, well, if you're really drunk, I don't know what to tell you.
Here's you, and you shoot off the other side, but
PSAPs are good for those systemic type of
Yeah.
treatments.
Yeah.
How's that conversation? So then they can implement it, right? But less
Mhm.
specific than a TSP, where
Mhm.
pointing at specific projects, but really, hey, this is a great thing we should implement. So that way it gives them something big. Sorry, they can point at when.
Yeah. Right.
and you said this is also including state highways?
It might have been factoring in intersections, because
Okay.
it's weird to be talking about, one jurisdiction and then all of the associated things. So I think it was any intersection that connected, whether it was to city or to state, were included. I don't know if it might have just been county roads and all county road intersections, then that whole unit was evaluated. Even if it was just like the county road passing through or turning onto another jurisdiction's road.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, was really informative. And thank you for doing that. I don't know how you ended up on 17 committees, but thank you for your service. I mean, a lot of these are already gonna overlap with your day job, I guess, so,
Totally.
thanks. Okay, we'll move on to city and group updates. So Anthony, if you're available, if there's anything from Lapine you wanna talk about?
Yeah, I am available.
Great.
Again, we're still just working on it. We're making some moves. The 2045 comp plan passed the planning commission and it's moved on to city council. So once, hopefully, fingers crossed, they approve that, then we are diving straight into the transportation plan, where we will be looping BPAC in pretty heavily. So I'm just waiting for that next step. I believe the city council meeting got pushed to the 25th, something like that. So we've got a little bit of time before all hands on deck on updating Lapine's transportation infrastructure. But in that, I know we are going to do everything we can to make it accessible and easy to move around. I keep saying it, broken record, but Lapine is small, so there's no reason why we can't make everything bikeable and walkable easily. And then,
Flat,
yeah,
flat helps.
it is so nice that it's flat. Riding your bike is fantastic. And then, as an addendum to that, sort of a little different but fun, I've been speaking with Coda about getting a bike park installed down here. And I have a meeting with the Lapine Parks and Rec next week to hopefully find a plot of land and get that going. Early next year is sort of the goal right now. So that would be huge. If we could get that down here, that would be the start to something really, really cool.
Good.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I like your t-shirt. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my daughter put on her tie-dye this morning and she said, let's match. So let's do it. Here it is.
You're
Yeah.
going with it, yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you. I
Mhm.
had a meeting with the mayor, your mayor was at, and I I was like, that Anthony, he's great. And she's like, oh, I know, he's really great. So.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I'm glad she said that. Well, yeah, that's nice. That's nice to
We'll see.
hear. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No Sun River today. Ben's, Chris.
Like I said, yeah, we're going like crazy. Striping season's kicked off, so trucks out on the road. We have gotten to where we can do both buffered bike lanes at one pass, saving us lots of time, so that's good. Franklin from Fifth to Lava, like I said, plan sets are at 100%, so not sure if the funding there's for it or not, but the plan set is all set up, obviously, except for the state part and the railroad. Our wayfinding project got put on hold from Parks and Rec. We're waiting for some legal stuff to go through the state senate on that. Bear Creek is closed for a roundabout. Butler Market's getting ready to close for a roundabout. 27th is going to be, was getting ready to reopen, but there's some drainage issues with the final paving course, so they might actually have to redo part of it. And so that might actually be closed a little bit longer to fix that. Pavement Prez is getting ready to kick off, so if you want to know if you're affected by that, that's all up to date on our website through the transportation portal. Let's see what else. Second Street is getting ready to open from Greenwood over to Franklin. Bend Beautification's kicking off, so if you want to adopt a section of road and do pickup, that section of the website's all up and going. And Portland is reopened from Wall to 9th, so. And then there's the day-to-day stuff.
And there's a new roundabout going in on Skyliners, but you guys aren't doing it. But there will be that Skyline Ranch and Skyliners, so that's gonna affect all the movement of traffic through that. And I think they're trying to get it done in the summer, so it doesn't disrupt schools.
And then there's also the one on Deschutes Market that's being done right now too, so that's got it closed. Over by the dog park.
Okay, and that's a county facility, the county's doing that one, or is someone
I
private?
believe the
doing it?
county's doing it and it's right on the border, so, and eventually that's gonna go all the way through to 18th. So it'll relieve some of that traffic volume over, so yeah.
Chris, I happened to ride out on 27th and went through that, the detour, and I felt like the flaggers took good care of me on a bike, and they kept traffic slow, and I felt
good.
So it's good.
Nice. I'd like to hear that. So.
I was talking to some friends and bands and about, and they brought up the construction projects and they're rational, educated people. One of them works for a city department, I'll say. But they were just kind of like, so many projects, like you can't get anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't, live here anymore. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything in your opinion, I know this is recorded, but in your opinion, like, is it?
Testing.
Yeah. Is there anything like, I mean, I know there was just such a backlog. I was just trying to think of something to tell them, or, maybe it is too much, or maybe it's just, that's just what has to happen right now, or,
It's just crazy right now.
well, I guess maybe is this like a tough time and
It's gonna just keep going. Because I mean, they got over $900 million to spend. I mean, we're looking at putting in the Reed Market overpass for the train. They're looking at, I mean, right now it's detour into detour. Our day-to-day operations for us to work, sometimes we're doing traffic control and we have to make sure it doesn't affect the detours that the permanent crews have working. And their truck traffic, and sometimes they have oversized loads and we have to make sure they can make it through our work zones. And so right now, yeah, it's insane.
In every meeting I go to where there's a city councilor or one of the city engineers, they talk about this and apologize to people because
Yeah.
it's just happening. And they said that they've ramped up and they're at the beginning of the peak. So it's going to be at least as bad. And I don't mean bad in that way, but for a couple of years.
As long as they keep putting more and more houses in, there's gonna be more and more.
I mean, in all honesty, it does bring traffic speeds down.
Yeah, true.
I mean, when there's this much traffic speeds come down tremendously. So that is one of the advantages, but it might be just one of the advantages.
Flag.
Oh, yeah, Neil.
Hand up.
Oh, yeah, Neil.
Oh yeah, I just saw something interesting related to this where, you know, it's road departments and building out road networks, the long-term maintenance is often neglected, right, and is expensive to do after the fact. And we have a system that funding wise also likes funding new things. So finding up beginning capital versus ongoing maintenance is challenging. And a connection that I'd never made before was exactly what we're talking about. You also don't have as many disruptions when you're building something new, except
Yes.
for where that's going. And so you're not messing up anybody's route because that road didn't exist in the past. And so you also get only praise. There's a ribbon cutting for a new road. There's not a ribbon cutting for a road repair section. So it's just interesting having that additional, like, even the social component of like, we don't want potholes, but then when you do infrastructure projects, you get pushback. So that was one piece. I did have one question on the city's side. I know that there was some conversation with the legal team on crosswalk infrastructure rules and stuff, and in particular the Wilson and Scott or Second Street intersection with the green painted crosswalks not being something that there was some weird legal thing of whether that counted as a crosswalk or not. And I noticed that those were in the designs but didn't actually get put in place. Is that something that you guys have talked about in your design or putting those things out yet?
Not that I know of yet. I
Okay.
haven't heard anything about that from legal. I know that the plan is to build one exactly at Butler and Boyd as the one on Wilson. So,
Okay.
but I haven't heard anything from legal about that yet. So,
Okay.
I know that
that's fine and good.
I know that we talked this morning, Janet talked to us this morning about possibly doing some of the green and paint because of them being pilot programs. So if we do have to change it, there's less of an impact for removal, to change it instead of putting it in hot tape. So
Yeah.
that might be an issue, but
And then one other props, I know on a lot of the ADA curb ramp stuff that's being put in where there's maybe bigger street that has sidewalks and then intersecting with streets that don't have sidewalks. The 6th Street Greenway on the east side, I saw the first one that I've seen where instead of there being, if you're coming from a non-sidewalk direction, there often is like a hard curb blocking access from the road because there's no sidewalk there. But there was an intersection there where they built a ramp coming from the direction of the non-sidewalk road. So it's easy to access that ADA ramp to cross at the crosswalk. So kind of almost like how you get off of the road at from a bike lane to a roundabout. And I just thought that solution, I hadn't seen it before. And it always was really awkward to come up to a crosswalk and have to take a hard right and a hard left, whether walking or biking, to try to get into a crosswalk with kids or whatever. So I saw that and I thought it was really great and thought I'd pass the note along.
What intersection was that again?
It is the Greenway on 6th Street and maybe I'll look it up and tell you the cross street.
Okay, just
I think
curious to look at it.
I think it's either Norton
I think
No.
it's Norton.
Is it Norton? Yeah,
Norton.
Norton.
They just redid.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Ben's, sisters, everybody got all the juicy details last month. Thanks for everybody for coming or participating in that. Yeah, I'll just say off the top of my head, the one thing where, yeah, projects that we kind of reported on are moving ahead, or Barkley bypass is phase one is getting built. I think it's supposed to be done pretty quickly here.
Okay,
Um,
in time for quilt show?
yeah, there's no quilts out there, but there'll be people everywhere. Our Gateway Transit Center, I think that phase one is also just about done, and we're having conversations with CET. I think a little bit behind the curve on some of this stuff, but about like agreements with, entities wanting to use that facility. And yeah, I think we kind of approved a dog park. It's gonna go out there as well, trying to really just make it a multi-use place, for, the community, but also, kind of number one issue is transit. And if we're gonna, lots of questions of, are we gonna allow overnight parking if somebody wants to get a bus and take it somewhere? Do we charge for that? Do we allow that but discourage overnight camping, or how, a lot of good problems, but a lot of questions that I think we're a little bit behind on addressing, but we've been busy. So I think that's really kind of the only transportation thing. But the apartment complex next door to it is open and, actively. That was over 80 units in that complex. And so, they're slowly but surely filling up, which is great because it's just another multifamily place right downtown. It's gonna be across the street from the transit center. So hopefully we'll get some people, if they're not coming and moving in there, knowing that those amenities will be there, then hopefully they will take advantage of them when they're kind of in full swing. But I think CET is going to start a soft launch of stopping there, I think by the end of this month. So that's about it for Sisters. Redmond.
So we are just now embarking on a sidewalk survey, basically to try to determine where we don't have sidewalks. Redmond, the city doesn't really have accurate data on that. And so the BPAC has decided to move forward, mainly because in our work plan, one of our goals is to try to start, developing some sidewalks, some areas. And we're using the same infrastructure that we use for our bike mapping. So each member is going out in a certain part of the city and mapping sidewalks, or at least that's when I make it sound like it's currently happening. At least in my case, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's going to. Just like the Deschutes BPAC, the Redmond BPAC has no money, and we'd like to give out some helmets to kids for National Night Out. And so we are scrambling to find grants, donations, whatever we can find. So it's, same world that I think this group lives in for, the summit and whatnot.
Have you reached out to commute options?
I know it's on the list.
Okay.
I don't know the outcome of that yet, but we've got a number of angles that we're pursuing.
I know Hooker Creek's always been real generous. Hooker Creek's always been really generous.
Oh, it's good to know.
The engineering department has reached out for us for input on first the Homestead Canal Trail. If you've ever ridden it, I don't know if anybody has in this group, but as you go into downtown Redmond, the trail just disappears. If you're heading to the south after the pump track, it puts you on quiet streets, which is quite nice. But then really to get across Glacier and Highland, you're on sidewalks. And it's a bit of a nightmare. And so the engineering department's working on it. We're beginning to submit our feedback to them. The other thing is also they're looking at our feedback on quiet streets. I think Redmond has a couple of quiet streets that are very successful. I know I enjoy riding them.
I like the Bryant Street designation.
So we're in the, opening stages of really trying to work together to hopefully develop more of those.
Good. By the way, Kim Kelly just put up St. Charles Foundation and the center will also help with helmets.
I know the center I know they reached out to St. Charles. I don't know if they reached out to the center, but I will.
Just for that.
Are they all one thing now?
Kind of sort of the same thing.
One
I
is
guess the
top,
foundation's
that's
probably different than.
And then, speaking of trails, the Central Dry Canyon project has begun. And so, it's a huge project right there, pretty much centered on where Antler crosses the Dry Canyon. Revamping the traffic patterns through there, because it is one of the few places where automobiles cross the canyon and there's parking lots. Yada, yada, yada. And so they're upgrading a lot of that. They're trying to organize the parking better. They're rerouting the trail as well as a couple of the access trails into the canyon. So it's a, I don't know, $5 or $6 million project. It's going to take a number of months, but it should be nice when it's done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love how in the weeds your group gets, just out there on the streets, street walking.
We'll make a flag. We had some consultants put together some concepts for extending the Homestead Trail along, say, ODOT right of way. That stretch all the way down, crossing Glacier and Highland in the past. I can see if I can pull that up.
If you would do that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be great.
potential project.
Because it's a huge sticking point.
Mhm.
Um,
Other funding sources like OCP and.
okay, no sheriff today, no sheriff's office. Anything from Deschutes County?
From our transportation planner, wrapping up some of our very glamorous zoning code updates to our Title 17 as well as Title 12, which relates to roads, sidewalks, and public places as well as subdivisions. County's going to be working with regional partners and Bend Pine Schools to further discuss safe routes to schools funding, project options. Ongoing, no specific updates on that, but Tarek will have more updates in the future. And then just noted the TSAP working group that has already been discussed. That is all I have from our transportation plan.
Okay, thank you. Chris, ODOT.
Yeah, so the Oregon Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee is coming. We're holding our meeting downstairs in Baney on July 22nd from noon to 4. So a couple things. I don't know if Deschutes BPAC wants to present or if there's any interest or something to talk about with them. If so, let me know and I'm glad to have a conversation. It's also a public meeting, so y'all are welcome to come. I haven't put out an invite to you yet because I haven't seen the agenda. And I don't know if you all need to sit through another boring public meeting if you're not doing anything, so.
Chris, are you on that group or just
No.
helping
No.
coordinate?
I'm helping coordinate it just locally.
But Dave Thompson's still on it, right?
Yeah, Dave.
The vice chair, co-chair. So,
Okay.
yeah.
We should have Dave give us an update.
Yeah.
For our meeting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, send that out to everybody and.
As soon as I get the
Decide,
agenda
yeah.
or we start building that out, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then OBPAC will be having an opening for somebody who is a bike shop owner, maintainer, seller, some sort of category soon. Mavis Hartz is gonna time out. She owns a bike shop in Eastern Oregon. She's also the only representative on OMPAC east of the Cascades. So if you guys happen to know anybody who would fill that role, who'd be interested in participating, it would be good to have somebody, I think, from, not the valley / coast. They do have a bit more control over funding and some other stuff, so it's a constant conversation we have, especially with safe routes and other programs, so they do have a bit more influence there. So if you know anybody, let me know and I'd be glad to connect them.
So it's for a Bend bike shop, a group that sells bicycles.
Correct, or maintains them, or
What is it, Project Bike?
Doesn't have to be banned, but they just say they need, there's a seat specifically to bike shop owner
just
Okay.
and they also don't have good representation.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave used to be ours, but now he's.
Yep. Just transition that way.
Yes, it's all coast all the time.
Yep. Associated with that, I'll probably be doing a bike tour on Wednesday, July 23rd in the morning, probably around the ODOT North Corridor stuff. So because we're inviting OPPAC, I might, if y'all are interested, I'll send out an invite for that as well. So talking about some of the ODOT projects, how the interface with a lot of other things there.
Do you need logistical help for that?
I think I have the locations and map it, but yes.
I mean, if you
With
need,
you or
if you need
Ben
people
Bikes as
help,
well, yeah.
good.
Bikes?
What?
Do you give them bikes?
Do
Loan
we
them
give
bikes?
up?
Like they're not bringing their own bikes.
They're mostly bringing their own bikes. I
Okay.
believe they're renting 2
Curious.
bikes for people.
Okay.
This is a sticking point with me and ODOT at the moment, but I have to use my own personal equipment to lead a bike tour. And I don't think I should have to because it's a work-related thing, so.
Totally.
Yeah, sticking point for me personally that I'm.
Done that many times, yes,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep. July 23rd, it'll be in the morning, so
Morning
probably
after the meeting.
8 or 9 until noon, something like that. I know it's slightly outside of y'all's zone, but we're hoping to kick off the Crook County Library e-cargo bike share July 2nd. So hoping to do an event for that. Super excited at the library. They'll have a front-loading cargo bike set up for kid carrying and 2 long tails as well. So working on these projects across the state. Love to do one in Bend and other places. So if people have interest, come talk to me. We have money, we have bikes, we can support operations as well. And then upcoming ODOT projects. So right now going on, we have an existing study. This goes back to one of the old, your committees there, but crossings of US 20 on 3rd Street. So we have money, we're studying crossings at Norton, Lafayette, Seward, and possibly Thurston. That means coming up with the designs. We have funding to do 1 crossing at least, so it'll likely be Norton. And if there's leftover, we might do Lafayette, but we'll at least have the crossing analysis and everything done and what it looks like and the total costs, so we can pursue grant funding for those. So that's exciting. We're hoping to do that construction by 27 at Norton.
Coordinate it with, at the peak of the bend.
Yeah, we're gonna wait until they're using that as a detour route.
Shut her down. That will be epic. Right in winter too.
Chris, is that all north of Greenwood?
All north of Greenwood,
Okay.
yes. So basically between the railroad overcrossing there as it tucks under 97 and Greenwood. That's what we're looking at. Safe routes to school Redmond, we've gotten funding for a couple projects there, including the crossings on 126, Glacier Highland at 7th and 12th, and a path on US 97 on the west side, south of town. So we'll be kicking those off in the next, hopefully 6 months or so, but we'll see. We have the money, we just have to.
What was the third one?
A US 97, so it'll be on the west side of the highway, basically from U interchange, slightly south of U interchange because Habitat's putting stuff in, to Desert Terrace Mobile Estates along the highway frontage there.
And there'll be a 6 or an 8 foot.
I believe we have 10 scoped.
10, cool. Right.
Do you need any letters of support?
Nope, already done.
Okay.
It's been awarded, so we just have to finish the paper. We'll find a project manager.
That was some we wrote already.
Yeah. Might be. Ben Sisters Redmond planning how to connect these cities. That's in negotiations with a consultant. We've selected one, so feel like I've been saying this for a year. It's ready to go with that. We're chipping away at these barriers. So yeah, we'll definitely be reaching out to folks to have participation on that planning project.
Yeah, good.
Sorry. Hawthorne should be starting soon as well. I think we have draft DAP planned for December of this year, so we should be getting our teams kicked off and running on putting together a bridge. As far as we know, we still have the funding for everything. We've got PE money, so who knows? FHWA doesn't have any people to answer our questions anymore, so last we heard before they were gutted, we have the money still, so we don't have to worry about that one. And we should hear back from Oregon Community Paths on projects later this month, probably in a couple weeks. There's a few projects around that are still in the running, including a project in Bend at Pilot Butte Elementary and the one Pilot Butte Middle School in the elementary next to it. That's one project. And then there's a multi-use path in Redmond connecting east of town to Oasis Village?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Oasis Village. So that's in the running as well still in terms of local projects.
So is that Juniper Elementary one, the hillside path down to the
Yes.
school to Neff?
Exactly. It'll connect well to Neff and then also do frontage along Neff, along the school right of way.
Great.
So fingers crossed, but I should be able to tell you more in July on this.
It was in my youth. Great, thank you. Henry.
Yeah, hey all.
Can-
Hey,
with us.
Chris, quick follow-up question. The Highway 20 refinement study still in the running too, right? For the trail undercrossing?
Yes, I believe so. I believe everything in planning
Okay.
was gonna be funded. It's just a separate pot and that's,
Gotcha.
don't ask me more about OCP. It's been a mess, but hopefully we'll have answers soon.
Sure. Yeah, so I think some highlights from the kind of bike ped side of things on Ben Park's projects. We recently completed a safety upgrade to a mid-block crossing on Brinson Road at Canal Row Park. This is where the Canal Ditch Rider Road crosses Brinson Road. And we consolidated an existing unstriped crossing at an intersection and a driveway crossing into one. And we added striping and new signage, and we redid some driveway aprons and made some improvements there. So hopefully that'll be safer now. And we've put in the pole bases for illumination. It's just when Pacific Power is going to put the light in. Not sure of a timeline on that, but recently wrapped that up. We're putting the finishing touches on our access improvement project at Miller's Landing Park. So this is a project that's primarily focused on making accessibility upgrades to river access through that park. There's been a small detour, the Deschutes River Trail. We had to pull out the pavers, and we're in the process of replacing the pavers. So hopefully that detour will be removed pretty soon, and sometime in June, over the next couple of weeks, as soon as we can get the crews out of there, that should be opening up to the public. You got a couple trail construction projects that are ongoing. At Discovery Park, we've been kind of working in two directions to make new trail connections to Shevlin Park. One of those trails is the Manzanita Trail, which is a combination of single track and multi-use trails that's being constructed through a number of new developments. That project is slated to be complete this summer, so there will be direct trail access from Discovery Park to Shevlin in that direction. And then we're continuing to work with the developer on the Outback Trail. This is a trail that goes towards Tree Farm, on paving sections of that trail as that development comes in. And we've also been installing like an art corridor along that trail. So we just had the ribbon cutting, as Neil said, for new infrastructure on a labyrinth that's fully ADA accessible. It is natural surface, but it's a compacted, firm, stable natural surface. And we just put some new signage out there. And then we have two new sculptures going in along the Outback Trail in the next 10 days. And then, for future studies, the big thing that I wanted to bring to attention to this group is that we are in July going to be releasing a request for proposals to bring a consultant on board to do a new alternatives analysis for the southern Deschutes River Trail connection and proposed bridge over to the, generally kind of the Rimrock, Good Dog area. This was a project that we had on hold for a number of years, but our board has recently directed us to study it further. So it'll just be a new alternatives analysis, which had already been done, but we're going to reopen that. And then we're going to take it a step further and do some more preliminary feasibility and engineering analysis of a couple potential routes. As part of that project, we are very likely going to have a stakeholder advisory board. And I'm hoping to get a spot from someone on BPAC or an at-large spot that one of you guys could fill. And I'll continue to follow up with this group with information about that. in what that process is going to look like. It's going to be a long, probably 12 to 18-month period, but there's going to be about 3 or 4 advisory committee meetings throughout that, in addition to a number of board meetings and public meetings. And it would be great to either have someone from this group or have involvement in just kind of the more general public meeting side of things with this group. So I'll continue to bring you guys updates on that. And I think for the sake of time, those are the highlights. I'll give you more next month.
Okay,
The labyrinth is very nice. I've gone through it a couple times.
Oh, thank you.
I kind of
Yeah,
live over that way, so it's a nice addition.
thank you. It's fun.
You know where that is.
not so much of a labyrinth that you couldn't find your way out.
No, you're actually pretty easy to, I mean, but it's just nice. It's just a nice little thing that, yeah.
Yeah, I made the mistake of calling it a maze in front of the labyrinth designer, and I was scolded strongly and said it's not about getting lost, it's about finding yourself. So take that for what you will.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nobody from commute options today. No, Kim's kind of our de facto type commute.
I think she had to
option
take
thing, but
off.
she's gone. She did post some information there. So featuring out Riverhouse Conference, Oregon Public Transportation Conference, that sounds exciting. November 2nd through 5th, so. Yeah. Maybe present, I don't know what we present, but if anybody has any ideas, let's talk about that. Obviously, I sent the information also in the meeting invite about CET's kind of get out and ride this week. And they're all their events. They have a lot of stuff going on. That's partially why Derek couldn't be here today because he was busy doing all that stuff. So hopefully that's going well. I think you went for a joyride, right? Or
I spent yesterday morning on the bus and I actually took the bus here with my bike. So
Oh, cool.
that was fun. And they are demonstrating their transit trails equipment this afternoon from 4 to 7 at Hawthorne Station.
Okay.
So
With pizza.
with pizza,
Oh.
that's right.
Yeah.
And tomorrow they have some, like a coffee, and I remember it because in the email that they sent today, there was an illustration of a bus and the wheels were donuts.
Yeah.
So that would get people to try transit.
I think
it's great.
I need to stick with that. So yeah, they got a lot of stuff going on, so. Yeah, I'm really hoping we can have a bigger presence with them and sisters. Okay, with that, any other comments before we wrap up? It is down to Neil. Online? We covered a lot of stuff, so, and we're all, again, running late.
Well, I'm sorry, earlier I got a big panic for everyone. I was getting the time of the meeting, apparently.
We're a little late because of our clandestine location.
Yeah.
So are we going to be here in this room next month as well?
No, we'll be downstairs.
Okay.
We might not be able to get in till noon, so
Okay,
a little bit of delay. There's a meeting till noon.
okay.
Okay.
So our next meeting for anybody who likes to watch these meetings online is July 10th. It's the second Thursday of the month because of the 4th of July holiday, the first week. So I'll see everybody then.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you for
son's
coming and
birthday.
participating.
I know off the top of your head, you might not, but I've been seeing signs on Mount Washington, that's closed
Shorter and shorter, yeah.
Right, I'll see you
It
next
shouldn't-
week.
as you're leaving.